Joy. Excellent job. I'd now like to bring up to the podium the Executive Director of the SLA, Mr. Ben McKay, to tell us a little bit about what we've got in our future. Ben?
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. This annual meeting is one of our most important events, so we appreciate you being here and participating in the workings of your trade association. I'd like to also start off by thanking the California Department of Insurance. For those of you who don't know these public servants, these incredible professionals, I can attest that having worked with many departments throughout the nation and departments in Washington, D.C., that I can say without fear of contradiction that we have some of the best, if not the best, public servants helping us keep our marketplace safe, competitive, and healthy. You've heard from Ian today about the many accomplishments during and because of his chairmanship. I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege to thank Ian for his chairmanship, his leadership, and his friendship. Ian has spent countless hours noodling over significant and insignificant issues with me, coming to the right conclusion more times than not. His patience is commendable and surpassed only by this incredible trait he has, which is the ability to ask the right question, or the question that needs to be asked that typically most people don't say or don't think of. And so for that, lending us that talent, thank you. You've also heard from Joy Irvin, who's talked about how the SLA is thriving, how we're in a strong financial position, and lots of other quippy things. I want to digress from my comments for a minute to just to make an observation. In the SLA, you've heard a lot about technology. You're going to hear me talk more about technology in a minute. But please don't take that to mean that we don't recognize that the most important way we can improve the SLA is through working with capital, through the people who work at the SLA. And we recognize that if each of them gets a little bit better, the whole organization is going to get a lot better. And so we put a strong emphasis among our employees on getting better, on taking an opportunity to improve your skill set, relative to your job. So for instance, if you're in the technology department, getting a certificate in cloud technology. If you're a senior person in the data analysis unit, pursuing your ASLI. So I'm proud to say that about a third of our employees in 2014 have taken this step and have started or completed some sort of program. And not to be outdone, in true Joy Irvin form, and this is why I inserted this here, Joy is on a collision course with earning her Master's in Business Administration, her MBA. So as usual, Joy is taking it to the nth degree. And I commend her for leading by example. Now, I'm a little bit embarrassed by this next part. During my tenure, I've done a very poor job of recognizing people in our industry who are no longer with us, who have contributed and made our industry what it is. And so I want to read off a couple names of people who are not with us. You probably all know, there's probably people who are not on this list. If that's the case, please let me know, and we'll honor them in some special way. First, Horst Lechler, who left us in 2013. Marion Perkins, who left us late last year, who was the chairman of the SLA and on the education committee in SCPCU. And Sandy Clark, who was one of my predecessors from 95 to 97. So we honor them in our minutes, we'll honor them on our website and in other appropriate ways. And again, if there's somebody like this, please let me know. So to recap, you're probably beginning to see that we have the ghost of Christmas past, ghost of Christmas present, ghost of Christmas future. Ian told you about shoring up the SLA, making sure that we're prepared for any type of disruption, natural disasters, data breach, bad actor. We feel confident that we've addressed any of these possibilities or eventualities, but we recognize that we have to come back to that. I view these phases as a spiral, an upward spiral, continually building, continually returning and repeating. Joy talked about the current day accomplishments, I call that the get out of the way of the marketplace stuff. Is you're trying to drive business, we don't want to be bogging you down with processes that are complicated or convoluted. We want to get out of the way, we want to make that as smooth as possible, recognizing that we have a countervailing interest in making sure that their marketplace is safe and that compliance is accurate. The online filing is a great example of how we achieve both. Right? When you file online, it's more efficient, it's less expensive to you, and the compliance is higher because the error rates are significantly reduced. So that's a win-win. It achieves both goals. Going forward, we recognize that most of you, as good as our website is, most of you are not chained to your desks working on looking at our website and looking at our online tools. And therefore, they're really not, they won't be useful to you if we don't put them in a way, put them in a form that those of you who are not chained to your desk can use. And you've seen this previewed in the previous two videos, but I wanted a video. So so now we're going to show you the future of the SLA, which is upon us, which will be the Department 1. Moving out of the technology department into the education department a bit, we have some projects, some future projects. You're going to talk a little bit about some of them, but one will be the SLA educator. You may have seen on websites a little robot that helps you complete your task. And we think particularly for new filers or people who haven't filed in a while, we want to make it so simple that when they go to file, there'll be a robot that recognizes, there's some logic behind it that'll recognize if they make a mistake and will prompt them to file properly. And again, this is something that will help people file right the first time, and it will help with compliance because the robot's going to help you make sure you file correctly. So look for the SLA educator in the future. And then related to filing, you know we have auto pay, and the take-up rate on auto pay and the take-up rate on slip have been practically straight up. We want to make it even simpler. So we're going to add, or online pay, we're going to add an auto pay feature, which many of you probably pay your bills this way. You set your account to pay your auto bill on the 15th of every month, and then it automatically just deducts from your account. We're going to add that feature to slip. This way now you don't even have to log in to pay your premium tax. All you have to stamp the fee, sorry. But you do have to make sure there's enough money in the account. And then also relatedly, e-invoicing, electronic invoicing. Right now we send out thousands and thousands of paper invoices. It takes a lot of my staff's time. It's expensive, and it's not environmentally sensitive. So we're going to give you the option of getting your statements, your invoices electronically. We hope that once that's available, you'll take advantage of it for all those reasons that I've stated. So switching gears. So those are the innovations for the future. Switching gears, I just want to posit a question. Think out loud. We sit at the SLA in the curtilage of Silicon Valley, and I can't help but think about all these innovative products that come out and wonder and worry whether or not they have A lot of these tech companies, they're the new economy. They don't understand the old economy that we're in, but they need to. And so there's this gap between the new economy and the old economy. And the new economy doesn't understand what coverages they need sometimes. Sometimes they don't understand any coverage at all. And sometimes there's no market for them. I knew a guy who was trying to do like a boat B2B where you could rent out your speedboat for skiing and so forth on the days you weren't using it. He did recognize that he needed insurance, so he contacted me, put him together with a broker, found him a market, and he got a price that was so cost prohibitive, there was no way that the business model would work. So here he stands with a dilemma. Do I go forward with no insurance, or do I not? Or do I follow this vision? And that probably happens every day in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Somebody who has a product can't find a market for. Understandable, new products, hard to underwrite. But that is really our space. And so if we can't do it, what will happen? Well, either they'll go bare, and we hope there's no tragedy, or someone will fill that void. And we've seen that time and time again with state and federal government programs. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes things are uninsurable at a point. And sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes they get into our space. You might be to give you a sense of magnitude, the federal government alone has 150 different insurance programs. So that's 150 programs we could be making profits on potentially that they're running because we could. Now the good news is it takes them forever to get a program up and running, so we have a big window to work with. But once they're there, it's hard to extricate themselves. And sometimes it's good. TRIA, we like that one. That's supposed to be a temporary program. It's still going. Flood, we have some markets that want to get into that space, but we can't get the government out of it. And that was supposed to be a temporary program. I was in the elevator and I saw there was an award to former governor, in recognition of the former governor of California who became president, who was quoted as saying, "There's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program." And flood is a great example. Trying to extricate the federal government from flood just isn't going to happen, at least not in a significant way, without a gargantuan effort. Why? Why would the government say, yes, let's privatize this? That would be a better solution. And the reason is because the government doesn't charge actuarially sound rates. They're not, that's why the program is $20 billion in the hole. So they got to keep it going so they can pay off that $20 billion, which is going to be at least 1,000 years. So that's one reason. And even if they did charge actuarially sound rates, the same rates that we would charge in the private sector, our costs are higher because we pay taxes, we have litigation expenses, we have all these business costs that we have to build into our pricing that the government simply just doesn't have. So they're always going to be cheaper. Why does that matter? Why does that matter to members of Congress? Well, it matters because members of Congress are the ones who have to undo the program. It matters to members of Congress because if I'm a congresswoman from Florida, where everybody should have flood insurance, even though only about 17% of them do, my constituents, if I allow that to go be private, the program to be privatized, they're going to pay more. And if every one of my constituents gets a bill for $1,000 more than they're used to, I'm not going to be in Congress very long. So it's very unlikely that these programs go. Once we cede that territory, we're not going to get it back. And so we're at the beginning, middle of this technological boom. We need to figure out, how to make sure we're not ceding territory to the state and federal government. I don't know the answer, but I throw that out there as a potential opportunity and a potential threat. I have a couple more items. One, in your packet is a brochure for a charitable event that's coming up here in Los Angeles, put on and hosted by the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation. I'm on the board, as many of you are, for the Western Division of the ICF. I put this in here just because I feel like our role at the SLA, part of our role is the image of the industry. And I think we need to be looking at ways to continually be good corporate citizens and continue to put our best face forward. And this is one way. I know a lot of you give personally, corporately to other charities, but this is the one for our industry, and we ought to know it exists, and we ought to support it. And the really interesting thing about ICF is if you don't want to give money, you can give time. We do an insurance industry week of giving where we all go out and do charitable work. We have a laundry list of activities. This year or last year we did a soup kitchen. We've done food banks. finally, I want to end with two important announcements about one of our most highly valued senior staff members. On March 26th, Linda Chang is going to celebrate her 25th year with the Surplus Lines Association. Today is my duty to announce that Linda has decided that she's going to retire from the SLA, thereby ending a quarter-century of service to the surplus lines industry, the SLA brokers that you have. Many of you have come to know Linda over the years, and I know you will join me and the SLA staff in recognizing Linda. Linda, will you please stand? Thank you, Linda. It's a great loss to our industry, but a well-deserved retirement. Congratulations to that. And in closing, I just want to thank my entire SLA team, dedicated, exceptional